So hello everyone and welcome to our Sydney SAP Tech Night event, the first event for year 2021. And actually this is also Chinese New Year, so Happy New Year to everyone who celebrate today, and also Happy New Year for everyone who celebrated a month and a half ago. In our today's agenda, we have 3 speakers. Our first speaker will be Gopesh Bhutani. He will present his own experience with SAP Cloud Platform Integration Suite. Hopefully, this suite not yet been renamed, but if it's renamed by SAP rebranding, he will mention it. After some Q&A, we will have 2 perfect speakers from SAP headquarters in Waldorf, 2 product managers that they will present ABAP platform for 2020. And they will provide some overview and product highlights specifically for ABAP RAP, RESTful Application Programming Model, and some of the code adoption for SAP S/4HANA and the code migration to SAP Cloud Platform, which have been renamed. So I will not spend much time. As the host of this event, mostly I will put myself on mute. I will try to keep your questions on chat answered. We also welcome one of our SAP colleagues. Molly, he will be helping us this year to run this event, as well as Sandy from SAP Sydney community. So welcome everyone, and we wish all the best in this new year. Hopefully all the pandemic will end up and we'll be able to have some of the face-to-face events soon. So in this introduction, I stop talking, putting myself on mute, and I am unmuting Gopesh Bhutani, our first speaker, to present. Gopesh, now it's all yours.
Yeah, thanks, Adi. Good evening, guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can.
Yep, cool. Thank you. I'll go back to the presentation mode.
You've muted yourself.
I've not muted it, actually. I unmuted it, but anyway, it's fine. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. I'll start again. I'm Gopesh Bhutani. I'm working with the Fair Consulting Group as a SAP Cloud Architect, having nearly 10 years of SAP consulting experience. And with Fair, basically, we've been helping our clients in their digitization journey. So that's about me. And today I'm here to present on my experiences with SAP Cloud Integration Suite and how we have made the integration solution simpler using the integration suite. So agenda for today's presentation is we'll discuss about a couple of use cases, which are the projects I have implemented in past or which I have been involved with, and we'll discuss about different business challenges. We'll discuss about what we have used to overcome these challenges in terms of SAP components, and we'll talk about the solution, and we'll go through the architecture side for the proposed solutions, and see like how we have simplified things with SAP Integration Suite. And in the end, I will be discussing about my wish list. It's so-called my wish list, but it's some of the requests we have received from our customers as well. Recently, like there are some of the things they want to see in SAP Cloud Integration Suite. So we'll discuss about that, and then we'll finish it up with the question and answer session. Cool. So proceeding further on the use cases, but yeah, before going on the use cases, just for those who has not much idea on SAP Integration Suite. SAP Integration Suite is enterprise integration platform as a service, which allows you to connect different processes, applications, people with ease and speed. And nowadays we have seen like when we work on the digital transformations, the client landscape has like different heterogeneous systems, and obviously in today's world, people are moving towards different software as a services, SaaS solutions, and it looks easy to implement those SaaS solutions, but at one point in time they need to integrate all these solutions. And in such sort of scenarios, you need to have an integration tool. So integration is a main pillar in the digital transformation of the project nowadays. And I would say, like, if not the half, but at least 30 to 40% of the effort or the resources are required for integration in a project as well. To proceed further, I will be talking about the next use case, and we will discuss what exactly we have done within this particular solution. I'll take you further with the business challenges we have faced with we came across for this particular use case, and we'll discuss like how we have resolved this one, and I'll take you through with the architecture diagram for this one. So the first use case is cloud rewards management system. So this reward management system is it's been implemented for one of our client in the automobile industry, and obviously the intent was to improve the customer mobility experience during the vehicle ownership phase. So customers purchases those vehicles, and our customer basically want to provide them with a membership package, which will last for nearly 3 years. And as part of this package, they can consume different sort of benefits. And so this is the first use case. And about the business challenge, which is the challenge in front of us was to build a solution which is basically required to improve the process of customer reward program. And obviously the challenge was to integrate different disparate processes across the SAP ERP application and the other third-party IT systems. The scenario here is like for this customer, we had a Salesforce environment, which is their existing environment, and which has this which has this package, the reward package creation program. So basically in that program, they create the packages, they activate, deactivate, and make like triggers the consumption event of these packages. And the problem was to the problem was that we wanted to record each and every transactions performed in Salesforce platform events for these activation, deactivation, and consumption of the packages. And obviously for these activations and deactivation and consumption events, business want to perform some sort of real-time actions in their SAP ECC environment. For example, creation of sales orders, credit notes, and manual journal entries. It really depends on what type of event is performing what action, which we will be discussing in the next set of slides. And the business was looking for an actually multiple web applications for corporate users and dealers, just to see reporting capabilities and see and to perform different kind of manual journal postings and dealer changeover activities. So certain web applications were required as part of the solution as well. And last but not the least, it was supposed to perform some monthly reports for the consumption events received from Salesforce. and based on these consumption events, business is supposed to create some purchase requisitions in a third-party legacy system. So a report was supposed to be sent to this third-party legacy system based on this based on the consumption events received. So this was the challenge in front of us, and obviously we had to thought of what are the components we can use and how we can fulfill all these requirements. And so next is about the solutions. So what we have done, what components we have used to bring all these pieces together. So talking about the component, the first one is the Salesforce environment. This was their existing environment. This is not a new component, and this basically, the Salesforce environment basically provides the customer experience layer to the corporate users, dealers, and the other customers. And it basically initiate the events like we discussed, the activation, deactivation, and consumption events for these reward management solution. The second component used was SAP business rules. So the requirement was to have some sort of business logic in place somewhere in the cloud environment or in SAP cloud environment or business technology platform to basically to determine the pricing, determining the different vendor logic within an flexible way. So we come up with SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules where we have maintained all this business logic. Next comes SAP HANA Cloud, which basically provides a persistence layer to stage all the transactions received from the Salesforce environment. And the other need of the HANA Cloud environment was to build the reporting services to fulfill our front-end application. So we have built OData v4 APIs using the cloud application programming model, which is serving as a backend for the UI5 applications required. Next is SAP Fiori. SAP Fiori basically provides the UI layer to build the front-end application for the internal and the corporate users. Then comes the SAP Integration Suite. So obviously the biggest challenge was to integrate these different disparate processes amongst the client's landscape. So we come up with SAP Integration Suite, which is a middleware and provides the integration functionality to integrate Salesforce environment with SAP HANA Cloud, SAP ECC, and the other legacy environments. And last one is the SAP ECC component, where we were supposed to post the sales orders, credit notes, and other manual postings. So it basically provides us the SOAP interfaces so that we can post the inbound IDOCs in the ECC environment. So these were the set of components being used for this assignment. And proceeding further with the architecture for this, and we'll discuss about the end-to-end flow. Obviously, this architecture is a bit complex, but I would like to I'll try to explain it end to end, and we will try to move from left to right direction. So on the very left side, we can see like we have the user network. So we had different sort of users, the internal users, the corporate users, we had dealers and customers. So dealers and customers basically deals with the Salesforce environment where they were creating these different platform events and different package events. And these package events get initiated from the Salesforce environment using the platform events in the Salesforce. So platform event is a service in Salesforce from which they can trigger these they can trigger these different sort of events. And this event trigger procedure basically it was on the basis of event-driven architecture where Salesforce basically trigger these events, and the messages out of these events gets queued on some sort of message bus, and like any integration tool can connect to these Salesforce and can subscribe to this. And obviously, one of the reasons why we have thought of SAP Integration Suite is because of the event-driven capabilities. Like we can easily subscribe to these sort of event bus on any sort of event channels. SAP Integration Suite comes up with out-of-the-box adapters, which we can use to integrate with these event-based solutions. So we connected Salesforce environment with SAP Integration Suite using an advanced co-adapter, and the integration was so smooth, like by providing few details for the for like basically it was a JWT auth setup between SAP Integration Suite and Salesforce. So just by providing few um, uh, JWT auth details, we were able to create a connection between the Salesforce and SAP Integration Suite. And rather than spending time on integrating with Salesforce and looking for what can be used, we have spent time in actual development for our backend APIs and staging in HANA Cloud and integrated with SAP ECC and building Fiori applications. So SAP Salesforce being connected to SAP Integration Suite, and as we discussed, like the business logic has been written in SAP Cloud Platform Business Flow Service. So SAP Cloud Platform, so Business Flow Service is integrated with SAP Integration Suite, and for all the staging for the events received from Salesforce, we connected SAP HANA Cloud with SAP Integration Suite using HTTP services, and so that's basically to stage all the transactions and to log all the transactions, because the staging of this data is the real base for the applications we have developed in the Fiori environment. So now to discuss about the flow of different package events received from Salesforce, we were supposed to perform different actions here actually. For example, we have got an activation event from Salesforce that is basically to activate the package for a new customer. So a customer purchased a vehicle and they have got a reward package. That package got activated by dealers in the Salesforce environment, and the event triggered from Salesforce, and event has been subscribed by this event channel has been subscribed by SAP Integration Suite, and the IFO gets scored in the SAP integration in basically the cloud integration service of SAP Integration Suite, and based on these different events, for example, the activation event, a certain logic has been written in the business rules to get the parameters required to make further calls to different environments, which are SAP ECC environment, SAP HANA Cloud environment, and the third-party environment. So for the activation events, the idea was to create sales orders in SAP ECC environment. So SAP ECC is on the right-hand side. We can see we have the SAP Business Suite in client's data center, and where we have which we have connected using the cloud connector, and the connection between SAP Integration Suite and SAP ECC environment is based on the SOAP protocol, and we have sent IDOCs from SAP Integration Suite to post different transactions in the ECC environment. So for the activation, we were supposed to create the post sales orders, and similarly for the other events, we were supposed to create the credit notes and journal entries in the ECC environment. And for the consumption events received from Salesforce, we were supposed to log it in the staging layer, but at the same time, we were supposed to send these consumption events as to the third-party environment where basically the business processes these purchase requisitions. So the idea was to send them a monthly job where we send all the consumption items for a particular customer. So we have sent these items in CSV file as a scheduled job from SAP Integration Suite. And last in this architecture, we can see like we have these different UI5 applications on the top of this business technology platform area, where we were supposed to develop the dashboard, reporting dashboard, and dealer changeovers and manage expense applications. Dealer dashboard is this reporting dashboard is basically for the analytical purposes, and where the internal users and corporate users can actually see the different account bearing transactions, and they can see how many packages has been consumed and all the details related to that. So this is the end-to-end architecture for this particular use case, and we can clearly see here, like using SAP Integration Suite, it made the things easy. We were able to integrate to Salesforce environment using the out-of-the-box adapters available, and it is the integration was seamless to connect to all these other processes or these other components like SAP HANA Cloud, third-party environments, and SAP ECC environment. So this is the first use case I wanted to showcase, which we delivered recently. Then comes to the second use case. So the second use case is about integrating SAP ECC environment with AWS environment. So this integration is basically required to build a customer order portal in the AWS environment. So a business expectation is to build this portal, and to have this portal in the AWS environment, business want to replicate some business objects, some master data and transactional data on data objects from SAP ECC environments. So this is the task we were supposed to perform, and this and obviously the main business challenge was to replicate all these data objects. So we were supposed to replicate the customer master data, product master data, pricing data, and we had a few transactional data objects like sales order and invoices as well. So um, the challenge was like it's just to integrate ECC environment with the AWS environment, but the idea was the duration of the project. Because obviously the first phase of the project is to provide this integration, and the second phase of the project is to build this customer order portal in the AWS environment. So proceed further, and we'll discuss about how we have overcome and how we have achieved this solution. Coming to the components, so we had three different components used as part of this solution. So SAP ECC. So SAP ECC is basically provides the RFC connections to trigger IDOCs for these different data objects, and which are to be integrated with the AWS environment. So the flow started from the ECC environment, from where we wanted to replicate the business objects, and then comes the SAP Integration Suite, which acted as a middleware and integrated SAP ECC and AWS environment. I would like to highlight a few of the capabilities of Integration Suite here, which have made this assignment real simple. Like SAP Integration Suite comes up with out-of-the-box pre-packaged content, which we can use and we can enhance that. So we have seen like these business objects which we were supposed to replicate from ECC to the AWS environment. If we had to do the custom development and we had to start from the scratch, it might have taken us months. But with these pre-packaged content available within this SAP Integration Suite, it has made the task real simpler and reduced the number of days as well. So we have used SAP Integration Suite for these integration purposes. And the third component here is Amazon Web Services. So obviously, Amazon is basically used for building these backend APIs and staging the master and transactional data received from the ECC environment, and to develop the order portal in the AWS environment. So these were the major three components we have used, and I think SAP Integration Suite works really good in this use case because we had all the pre-packaged content available. Cool. So now comes to the architecture. I think this is a fairly simple architecture as compared to the previous slide. But we had these three different components, which are SAP ECC, which is on the left corner here, which is in client's data center, and we have two other cloud components. One is SAP Business Technology Platform, and one is AWS environment. So we used SAP Cloud Platform Integration Suite to integrate the ECC business objects with AWS environment. And on the AWS side, we had used Amazon API Gateway Services to build the REST APIs so that we can integrate those REST APIs with the integration suite cloud integration service iFlows. So the flow is like we trigger we for example, we can take one example of customer master application. So we configured all the things in the ECC environment, like setting up of partner profile ports and different IDOCs. Like we use debmass07 and we use some extensions for the custom fields, and we triggered the initial load using the BT12 transactions, which is the standard transaction for the customer master application in ECC environment. And once the trigger, once there is a trigger of the IDOC, it connects to SCPI using a RFC connection. So we created a RFC connection to talk to SCPI for the outbound purposes. So once the IDOC is triggered, we have used the prepackaged content available in Integration Suite to trigger that corresponding customer master application. And on the receiver side, we have enhanced our iFlows, and we have changed the receiver side to connect to the Amazon API Gateways API, and which are the REST API. And in terms of the security, we have generated AWS signature to connect to these AWS APIs. And in these APIs, we are performing in the AWS APIs, we are calling different sorting, like we are calling the Lambda functions to perform further actions and stays the data in the AWS environment. Though it's the second part of the project which has not been completed yet, but the first part was just to set up integration end to end for these data objects from ECC to the AWS environment. And we can see here, like we have a EC2 instance in the AWS environment where we are using the cloud connector. So cloud connector is basically to connect SAP ECC environment with the cloud environment. So cloud connector works as a reverse proxy, and obviously it's client strategy to move things to the cloud environments. But their current is SAP ECC box is still in their local data center, but obviously they are planning to move it on the cloud environment, move everything on the cloud environment. So this was this was the higher architecture for this ECC to AWS integration scenario. And we have seen like a drastic change, like by utilizing those standard content and just performing those pre-post exits available in the standard iFlows. It's really easy to connect different environments, and the integration was smooth as well. Cool. So proceeding further, how SAP Integration Suite has simplified integration for us. So we have seen like SAP Integration Suite has been evolved from just being point-to-point integration. For example, connecting ECC to the SuccessFactors environment or ECC to the C4C environment. It has come up with a full-blown integration platform as a service, and it's not just about the pre-packaged content available. We are now able to connect to the different non-SAP applications as well. So it's really been evolved, but there are some of the differentiating factors which worked for us and which simplified things for us. One is the event-driven integration, which is basically to support the decoupled integration across applications. So in our first use case, we have seen like we were able to connect to Salesforce environment pretty smoothly just by using that out-of-the-box Advanced Core adapter. Actually, I've done a small POC just other than connecting it, rather than using SAP Integration Suite, I try to work on a node application where we try to listen to these events using some using some standard plugins available for those node application. And I really saying like I've spent days into just for that integration and listening to those events and getting the data and processing further. But on the other hand, utilizing this SAP Integration Suite, it was like a few hours job just to set up everything and just to have the data here based on these different event channels. Second thing is the pre-packaged integration content. Yes, exactly. For the second use case, we have used the pre-packaged content and it has accelerated the integration project and reduced the effort from months to days. And obviously, because of this seamless integration, we can actually spend more time on the next set of work rather than still working on that integration piece. And last but not the least, there is like open connectors. So open connectors is another SAP integration suite service which we can use to connect to the third party environments. Some of the common examples are connecting to AWS S3 environment, connecting to communicator channels like Slack, connecting to social media like Facebook and Twitter and all this. But it has nearly 160 pre-built connectors, which we can use to connect to these third-party applications. So it's not just about connecting SAP to SAP application, but actually connecting to the third-party environments as well. And I've used open connectors for many POCs, and I've seen like the integration is really easy, and it hardly takes some time to set up the security with these connectors and connect to the third-party applications. Cool. Proceeding further, now comes to my wish list. It's not just my wish list, but my experiences. It's because of my experience and dealing with customers as well. So customers has come up with certain requirements where we were supposed to automate the integration development like we used to do in the with the cloud application programming model developments or the Fiori apps developments. We can set up, we can connect it to the we can connect it to the repositories like GitHub and the Bitbucket and other repositories, and based on we are performing changes and unit testing, we can move our code to the master branch, and we can commit our code to the master branch, and based on these committing to the master branch, we can perform real-time test cases, end-to-end test cases, and we can migrate our solution from quality environment and deploy to the production environment going forward. But working with the SAP Integration Suite, I've not seen the capabilities to perform automation and just writing the integration flows in your local repository, specifically with the web UI. And it's basically it's it's basically one central repository for the CPI tenants, and one person can edit the iflows at one point in time. And but yeah, customers are really looking forward to automate the integration projects, as integration project is basically having 30 to 40% of effort in any digital automation project. And yes, I think it should definitely have the automation phase. Some of the other wish list items are like tracing should be enabled for a longer duration. Like that's my personal wish, but we clearly understand like tracing is given for just 10 minutes because obviously we don't want to exhaust all the resources if we are dealing with the big data models or big messages in our integration flows. But we've been faced like sometimes we are not even dealing with these big data models, and it's not putting that much load on the system. But with this 10 minutes capability, we execute the integrations, we go to the monitor and we see the trace is not enabled and it has gone back to the info mode or the debug mode or the none mode, and we had to re-trigger our retrigger our iFlows, but I think it should have some sort of capabilities where it allows you to choose like a time frame which can be a maximum of 30 minutes, but you can choose like for what time you want to enable your tracing capabilities, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 or 30 minutes. The last one here is ability to reprocess failed messages. Within my experience of working with Integration Suite, we have seen like some of the out-of-the-box adapters have the capability to retry the failed messages, and we can just click on those checkboxes and we can retry those messages, but it's still not available with all the adapters. And I think for most of these projects, when we are unit testing the scenario, when we are performing other sort of testing and client is doing UAT, I think we come to know like how can we reprocess these messages? Like we can reprocess the IDOCs in ECC, so there should be some sort of capabilities here as well. But yeah, that's my personal view on this. Like it is quite possible there are some other reasons why these capabilities are still not there, or maybe SAP is working in background to get the solution better. But yes, yeah, in this we can discuss about if there are any questions. And yeah, basically that's what I wanted to explain, and I wanted to showcase my experiences, the projects I've implemented in past, and how SAP Integration Suite has made the thing simpler for us. Cool. So if we have any questions, we can discuss them now. Or
Thank you very much for your great presentation. It's very valuable, and there's a lot of information. So it's now open for questions. We running a little bit late, but I think our presenters from Germany will allow us a few minutes, maybe to open discussion.
yep.
But what I could guarantee, they will convey your wishful list to right product managers.
Yes,
Hey, Gopesh.
I'm sure. Hey, Murray.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I think it was really good to see in the SAP Integration Suite also being able to play a role with third-party solutions, and you highlighted some good examples, real customer examples as to how it is being done, and good to also share that share some of the capabilities that made things easy for you, and also good that you shared your wish list. Yeah, some of them are, I know myself, there is a lot of talks internally in the product team for things like CI/CD and reprocessing of messages. So those things are still in the backlog. So definitely, we'll take it to the product management team and let them know about these are the most of the capabilities that have been requested out here from our community. I just also wanted to have two questions. So first one was, how do you manage transports? Is there some recommendation that you have in terms of managing these transports of your integration contents?
Well, being used is transport management service, SAP Cloud Platform Transport Manager Service to basically migrate content from dev environment to the quality environments. But it's been seen like we were not able to integrate these with the CI/CD pipelines yet because it's not supported. But yeah, transport management is what we have used for the migration of iFlows from dev to the quality and the prod environments.
Okay, and in the second use case for the AWS, you talked about business standard prepackaged contents which helped you accelerate. Yeah, I'm curious to know which business package it was. Maybe if you can link on the chat window too, we can quickly have a look at it.
Sure. Like we have used SAP ECC to SAP C4C integration package, which was having the similar domain model on the target side, and the idea was to build this customer order portal in the AWS, which is a custom applications, and to perform this end-to-end integration, we have used this C4C package.
Okay, all right. So it's ECC to C4C.
C4C integration. I'll share the link of this package available in the API hub, and yeah, you can
And just a final comment too. So I think in both the scenarios that you mentioned, there is integration with Salesforce and with AWS.
Yeah.
And even though there are connectors and adapters within Cloud Platform Integration, I did notice there was a new update that came in where SAP has upgraded the capabilities of these adapters. I'll put a link to the SAP note in the chat window, for you guys to have a look at it later on.
Yeah, perfect. And just to add on one thing, like I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, Murli, but when connecting to the AWS APIs, we had to manually create the signature using the Groovy scripts. Ideally, there should be some sort of key store of type AWS signature, as it is there in the Postman and everywhere as well. So it's good to have these sort of key store credential types so that we can just provide the authentication keys and tokens and the type of services we are using on AWS, and just to generate it internally and just pass it to the AWS environment. But at the moment, AWS has a 6-step process which we have to go through in the Groovy scripts, generate that token, encode it, convert it to hexadecimal, and then just come up with. And yeah, so I think it's like another point in the wish list, but yeah, if you can have some sort of key store credentials available for that, it's really handy and saves a lot of time.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Could the community provide answers to your questions? With regards how to move transport, there is the capability in the Solution Manager charm with the focus build to move Fiori-based transport called General Transport via GitHub. I will share offline. We've not been ready for this question, but I could show with you later on.
Yeah.
Anyone else? You have many people on the call. So thank you very much for your presentation, and let me please share again our agenda, and welcome everyone who joined our call late. So we have 2 presenters from SAP from Germany. Just let me please know if you could see my screen. I'll just put this for a few seconds.
Yeah, we can see a desktop.
Yep. Just putting one. Okay. So our next presenters are Carine and Olga. I will let them to present themselves in a second. They just joined our call. They product managers from SAP headquarters in Waldorf. So we have always in our event one presenter from local community and some presenters from SAP headquarters. And thank you very much for making this happen and present to our community what is the recent in SAP developments. And we understand it was some rebranding happened with the RISE with SAP, so we are not going to speak about it. We'll let you present your topics, which is ABAP wrap and custom code adaptation for SAP S/4HANA and custom code migration to the SAP Cloud Platform ABAP. So what I will do, I will just let you probably to share your screen, and welcome to our Sydney event. We hope we could conduct this in person, but it's not yet happening. So Olga or Carine, would you like please to share your screen?
Yes, thank you, Eddie. I've shared my screen. I hope you can see the PowerPoint. If someone in the audience can see it, just let me know.
Yep, we can see.
Yeah.
We can. Yes, it's there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Eddie, and hello, everyone. My name is Carine Djomo, and together with my colleague, Olga Dolinskaja, we will give you an overview of the ABAP platform in SAP S/4HANA 2020. Both of us are product managers for the ABAP platform at SAP. I will start and Olga will take over then later on. Okay. So this is our agenda, quite a lot of stuff, but of course some of them we just want to make you aware of them, but we won't go, it won't be a deep overview, but just we want to share with you the product highlights of the ABAP platform we have delivered in 2020. So first I will give you a short overview of the ABAP platform in general. What are the main drivers, investment areas, and the main stakeholders and consumers of the platform. And then we will go ahead and go over the different points mentioned on the slide. Okay, great. Okay, the ABAP platform. The ABAP platform plays an important role within the SAP product portfolio, as it provides the foundation for SAP's enterprise solutions, such as SAP Business Suite or SAP's Digital Core, SAP S/4HANA, but also for diverse other SAP NetWeaver add-on. And last but not least, for the SAP Business Technology Platform ABAP environment, called Steampunk. So the name has found its way out, so many of you might know that we call it internally Steampunk. Yeah, so to enable the transformation from the SAP Business Suite to SAP S/4HANA and SAP Business Suite technology platform, I would say BTP for short, the ABAP environment, we had waves of innovations, no, which found their way into the platform. And the key driver behind these innovations were, on one side, the SAP HANA, which is the data that is the database of the SAP S/4HANA and the ABAP environment in the cloud. Then we had SAP Fiori, which is the chosen user experience of the SAP Intelligence Suite. And then the cloud, no? Because the ABAP platform also provides the solution for the cloud edition of SAP S/4HANA, but also for the ABAP environment in the cloud, which should be used also to provide extensions to ABAP-based extensions for the different SAP suite solutions. So here in this picture, you see, to best support the rapid innovation pace in the SAP S/4HANA and also in the SAP BTP platform, and at the same time not disrupt the business in the traditional world, so in the SAP Business Suite and the diverse NetWeaver hubs and add-ons, we decided with the ABAP development code line ABAP platform 8009 to have a code split. So starting from that release, it works with SAP Basis 7.53. We now have on the left-hand side the development code line for improvements and selected enhancement for the SAP Business Suite for the traditional world. And on the right-hand side, here we have then the one common innovation code line to serve the different consumer of the platform, talking about SAP S/4HANA, the on-premise and the cloud editions, and also the SAP BTP, ABAP environment, and other applications. But these are the major stakeholders of the ABAP platform today. And the ABAP platform 2020 was released in October last year as indirect shipment with the SAP S/4HANA. So there is no direct shipments of this release. With Platform 2020, the strategy of the previous platform releases has been continued, and various capabilities of the platform has been further enhanced. So the ABAP language and the ABAP development tools in Eclipse to provide high developer productivity. We have further enhanced the ABAP platform to fully leverage SAP HANA in ABAP-based applications. The ABAP RESTful application programming model, RAP for short, which is used to build SAP Fiori application and Web API on the platform now support also greenfield implementations on premise because we had a limited scope with the previous release 1909. The quality assurance tool to support customer and partners in their custom code conversion project has also been enhanced. So we are working on those different topics further. In regards to the connectivity area, we now also support the advanced message queuing protocol, AMQP, beside other protocols such as WebSocket, MQTT, and so on. And for the key user in-app extensibility in SAP S/4HANA, we now offer the extended component library also on premise. So this is just at a glance the major areas where we invested, where we made investment in the year 2020. So let's go now further and have a look at the different topic mentioned there. As I mentioned, not all of them will go into them details, but we just want to make you aware of what has happened in this area. So the ABAP development tools in Eclipse, short ADT, provides our modern development tool set for all the ABAP development tasks on-premise as well as in the cloud. So we're using the same development environment. It's also powerful quality assurance and supportability tools are integrated in ATT as well. For example, the ABAP Test Cockpit and SAP Code Vulnerability Analyzer for static code checks, but also unit testing and advanced debuggers and profiling and runtime monitoring analysis tools. And here the ADT is out there for a while right now, and it has been further enhanced over the past years, and we are still working on it, investing on our IDE. So what has happened yet in what has been delivered for the ABAP platform 2020 in the area of CDS? We now have core data services, our new data modeling infrastructure in ABAP. When I say new, well, it's the support started with 740, but of course in the past years we have tremendously enhanced the feature scope. So in ADT now we have also new CDS entities, the so-called CDS view entities, or CDS view entities extensions which can be created in ADT. The documentability of CDS artifacts using so-called knowledge transfer document is provided. So these are new artifacts provided on the ABAP platform for documentation purposes. We have for example, also regarding the quality, now the CDS test double frameworks also support these new artifacts, so the CDS view entities and the CDS projections. This is in the context of ABAP unit testings, kind of isolation mechanism. And yeah, so we have also new editors for business add-in and also for number range objects and different sort of enhancement and improvement in regard of development on the ABAP development tools. A point we should be also maybe mentioned here is that we have discontinued the support for reading the legacy SAP Logon ini file, which means now the SAP UI landscape format has become the default format for maintaining sub-GUI connection informations. So that's it. And of course, here we have also on a quarterly basis further enhancement in the ABAP development tools, which are provided in the cloud and later on also available on premise. Regarding the ABAP language, so the most recent modernization of the ABAP language focuses on providing a declarative and expression-oriented development language. And this modernization started also already with 740, and over the years we have done here a lot. The major inline declarations, constructor expression with type inference, and powerful internal table operations are some of the major capabilities provided in this context, which helps to write more simple and concise ABAP code. Also, starting with the release 1909, we enhanced the ABAP language on-premise with the so-called entity manipulation language, which is used in the context of the ABAP RESTful application programming model to control the transactional behavior of business objects. So yes, we can also write inline code in the source code, but also ABAP unit test with the test doubles frameworks and test sims are supported for the language. Now the test sims can then be used to provide ABAP unit tests for legacy code. Regarding the ABAP language, the major investment area in the year 2020 was in the ABAP RESTful application programming model, but a lot happens under the hood. So as general enhancement, we only have some minor enhancements, as you can see here. For example, we have we can define an instructor structure, an indicator structures for some type structures types. Sorry. So we have a new addition indicators which can be used, and these indicators can then later on be used also in ABAP SQL statements. We have also, in regards to constructor operation reduce, we can now also use calculation assignment operators, or in regards here we support now Perl compatible regular expressions. And yeah, so beside the POSIX regular expression, now ABAP also support the Perl compatible regular expressions, no? And they work in the same way as the traditional expressions worked. So, give you an overview. Now let's go to the SAP HANA-centric optimizations. The SAP, the ABAP platform, the database interface layer of the ABAP platform has been massively enhanced to support SAP HANA as underlying database, to make it, to allow developer to fully leverage the capabilities of the underlying database, in-memory database, be it performance, but also in regards to accessing native HANA functions and libraries. No? For example, predictive analysis, geospatial, and so on. Also, all the financial functions that are there. So with ABAP SQL, formerly known as OpenSQL, with core data services, like I already mentioned, this is our it is the data modeling infrastructure on the ABAP platform for advanced data modeling, and also using the ABAP managed database procedures. We are now really able as ABAP developers to delegate data intensive computations, processings to the database instead of processing them on the application server. Now, this is the so-called code pushdown paradigm, which differs from the traditional massive use of internal table on the application server layers. A typical example, we can express so much in the data model, be it aggregations or if logics, or even and this is the same in ABAP SQL. Over the past years, we have really enhanced the syntax of the ABAP SQL statements so that really we can express a lot more in ABAP SQL query. ABAP SQL and plain core data services views are the main programming construct to be used in the context of ABAP development for SAP HANA. So this is where, as a developer, you start with. And then for very specific scenarios, we call them breakout scenario, HANA specific scenario. That means where those programming constructors are not sufficient. Then we have the so-called ABAP managed database procedure and functions, and the core data services, table functions, and hierarchies, which can be used. So these are really HANA specific capabilities. By the ABAP managed database procedures and functions, it helps us to really, from the ABAP platform, create HANA stored procedures and database functions, and and Scala functions also. And that means, as a developer, the whole environment is managed by the ABAP, the application server, and we don't have to take care of anything on the database. So the whole life cycle is handled by the ABAP server, and the whole development also occurs happens in the ABAP development tools. Yeah. What has happened in this area with the release 2020? We now support new CDS entity types. So we support the so-called CDS view entities, which are the successors of the CDS DDIC-based views, so data dictionary-based view. The new CDS view, they offers a simplified definition, consumption, and life cycle. For example, as a developer, in the previous with the CDS DDIC-based views, we needed to provide the name of the data definition, then the name, we had to provide the name of the entity views, and now also the name of the associated SQL views. So in the new world with CDS view entities, we do not have SQL views, associated SQL views. That means when creating such artifacts, we only have one entity. The entity, the name of the data definition is the same name, and no SQL view is generated. That means also from the activation and lifecycle management, they are very improved. In this regard, we also introduced the CDS view entity extensions for the modification-free extension of CDS entities. Also, CDS, we have enhanced CDS projection views, and now we can, on the projection layer, when using a projection view, also define associations to external source. Because so far, when building a so-called projection views, we were only able to use the associations defined in the underlying layer. Okay, and also in the area of CDS access control, here we have enhanced the definition of access rules here with different features, how access rules can be defined in so-called CDS role, because CDS come with its own data control language, which make it possible to add access control directly to the modeling entity, which is different than the approach we have in the classical ABAP world, where access controls are defined using authority checks. Also, regarding ABAP SQL, also we have provided various new built-in functions, and by doing so, we are also enhancing the expressiveness in ABAP SQL statements. Now we have a variety of conversion functions, aggregate functions, string, windows, date and times, and yeah. So as you can see, we are really doing a lot so that when it comes to writing queries, it all can also be described, written, expressed directly in an ABAP SQL statements when it is, for example, an ad hoc query, something you will just use once, or then you don't have to maybe have a workaround, do a data model where you express this before you execute it. So every use case can be solved then with one of the two ABAP SQL or ABAP CDS. So now regarding the ABAP RESTful application programming model, RAP for short, I've mentioned it a couple of times already. Here, what is it? The ABAP RESTful programming model is it's a set of concepts, tools. When we say tools, all tools provided in ADT, languages, frameworks, and best practices, which aims to support developers efficiently developing their applications. When we talk here about languages, ABAP, the ABAP language and ABAP core data services are the main languages used here for all the standard implementation tasks. Tools are already mentioned. We develop here in Eclipse. So all the editors here are native Eclipse editor that are provided. And we have underlying frameworks which relieves developer from technical implementation task. It's important to say that the RAP is used for different scenarios, so greenfield implementation, brownfield implementations, or to build SAP Fiori application or just web APIs. And it's available on-premise on SAP S/4HANA and also on SAP BTP ABAP environment. So this is for us really also a key investment in on the ABAP platform to have a kind of universally usable programming model for different scenarios. And with RAP, we then provide a standardized development flow for all these different scenarios to the developers. So here we can see the end-to-end RAP development stack, and it's divided into three conceptual layers. We have at the bottom the data modeling and behavior. So this is the world of data model and the associated logic, business logic. For example, in SAP S/4HANA, that would be the virtual data model for virtual data model for VDM. And sorry, sometimes I pronounce some German words. And the associated logic might be stored in function model, classes, BAPIs, and so on. So this is the word. And here we have on the left-hand side, the read-only queries, for example, to build analytical list page or other stuff. And here, queries are defined with core data services. So we do the data modeling with the core data services here. We have different modeling entities that are provided in CDS for the purpose. On the left-hand side, now we have the transactional words here, the so-called business object. So a business object on a conceptual level has three parts, and those parts are also materialized in the backend. So first we have the business object structure. So the data model, we call it the composition model because a business object is a composition tree with different nodes that have the parent-child relationship between them, and such a business object always starts with a root entity. So we have CDS to do the data modeling. We have behavior definition. This is a new artifact in the ABAP world. It is used to declare this transactional behavior of a business object. A business object, for example, a sales order, a booking, an invoice, and this is an entity, a business object node. And for each business object node, I have some operations, transactional operation, create, update, delete are the standard, but I have also some business object specific operation functions, validations, and so on. So here we have now the possibility to just declare it. And once the behavior is declared, now, of course, we need now the implementation. So this is the behavior implementation class here. This is done in an ABAP class. So this is the tree object of our business object. On top of business object, we have the possibility to define so-called projection. So it is always a use case specific. That is the place where here now we have the comprehensive data model, and here on top we can go ahead and just select the relevant part of the business object, the attributes and the behavior that are relevant for the given scenario. Once this is done, then we go ahead and use so-called service definitions. This is to define the service scope. That means we have to define which the entity sets that are relevant for the service we are about to develop. We are developing. And once this is done, then we go on top and then we bind to a protocol and a scenario. Protocol will support OData v2, OData v4, and maybe in the future we'll have other protocols supported. And from the scenario, we support web APIs and UI scenario. And depending on the choice of the scenario, then some functionalities are provided by the backend. It is important to mention that up to the service definition, the developer works in a protocol agnostic layers. So only here, using a wizard, the binding is done to the protocol. And once this is done, then it is consumed. So either, for example, from the SAP Fiori tools to build a Fiori applications, or simply from a third APIs. So important here I mentioned is that we have the data model, the behavior definition, and the behavior implementation. And I also mentioned previously that the underlying platforms takes over some of the technical implementation tasks. And the question now is, what are developers responsible for? So here we can see on this picture the business object runtime. And it has two parts, the interaction phase and the save sequence. The interaction phase is a recurring phase. It comprises all the modifying, reading, and locking operations, and all changes performed in this phase are temporarily stored in the buffer. And when the save sequence is triggered, then the data are processed and persisted to the database. And depending on the scenario we are running, then the developer is responsible for something. We have two main scenarios. In the unmanaged scenario, it is typically used for brownfield development. That means the developer has existing business logic already available. So the legacy code is already available for the interaction phase, the save sequence, and the transactional buffer. In that case, then the developer is in charge of providing all the CRUD operations, and it will just have to embed the existing coding in the given interface of the RAP framework. This is, we say, use some adapter, so piece of code to map the different interfaces. And the second scenario is the so-called managed scenario. This is typically for greenfield development. That means the developer has almost nothing available and want to start building the application. In that case, standard create, update, and delete operation worked out of the box without the need of a single line of code. Only it has just to be declared, and then the underlying frameworks handle all those operations. And then the developer can then focus on adding only the business object specific business logic. For example, an ID, a validation, all those logic, all this semantic cannot be provided generically. And that is where then the developer enter. In 2020, we have also worked a lot. So in the RAP area, so first of all, we are now also supporting the managed scenario on premise, because so far it was only supported in the cloud, on the ABAP environment in the cloud. So now we also support managed business object with external UUID based numbering on premise. And we have also different functionality here. We also, for those of you that are familiar with the predecessor, the ABAP programming model for SAP Fiori, we now also support the draft handling in the RAP. The draft handling is just a functionality which helps us to fill the gap between using stateless technologies such as OData and UI5 to build stateful applications. And so it's a kind of shadow table that are fully managed by the infrastructure to temporarily save data, even inconsistent data, until they are saved and validated by the framework. And we have also additional features here for the business object, manage, unmanage. We have different features here provided. Also in ADT, we have a relation explorer, or we also have enhanced the test double framework feature scope so that also business object can be also tested with the test double frameworks. And I already mentioned it, the documentation. So having said that, if you have questions, you can ask them now or just post them in the chat, because I think we are the time. I will, because of the time, I will just hand over to Olga. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask them in the chat. I will be looking at them. Okay. For Olga, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Carine. And I've seen
You're welcome.
Answered one question. So we have some time if anyone would like to ask question. Your opportunity now, you could probably ask Carine offline after the meeting. So if no questions, Olga, if you could share your screen and make your presentation, introduce yourself firstly as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Adi. Here is Olga. Welcome from my side. Do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, nice. Let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Olga Dolinskaja, and I'm working in the ABAP platform product management in the same team as Carine. And now I will just continue with ABAP platform 2020 product highlights, and I will continue with ABAP code analysis tools. So this is actually the overview about ABAP code analysis tools suite. What do we have to analyze ABAP code? ABAP Test Cockpit is our tool of choice for all kinds of static analysis tasks. This is the successor of Code Inspector. Maybe you know the Code Inspector. And now ABAP Test Cockpit was established with SAP NetWeaver 7.02, and this is actually our central tool for all code analysis tasks. We also have ABAP SQL Monitor. SQL Monitor allows you to analyze performance of the performance-intensive SQLs. And this is the tool of choice for the runtime analysis of SQL. Of course, you have also the suite of classic performance monitoring and trace tools like, SQL Trace, ABAP runtime analysis, SAT, and Profiler, and so on. We will focus now on ABAP Test Cockpit. This is actually now our central technical infrastructure for all kinds of static analysis tasks. And starting with NetWeaver release 752, we offer ABAP Test Cockpit also as a remote code analysis option. It means you can set up one ABAP Test Cockpit system centrally in the landscape as a central check system and connect it via RFC to the systems in your landscape in order to check them for the statistical quality assurance using the same code inspector check variant, which will be installed centrally on the central check system. And the check logic will be also executed centrally on the central check system, and you get also central result and so on. The advantage is you have always the newest up-to-date checks, which allow you to test even your older systems with the newest delivered SAP code analysis checks. This infrastructure is also integrated into development environment, meaning if you, for example, is a developer on an older system like checked system A, and you do the maintenance tasks for the older code, you can also, if your system is connected to the central check system, you can just call the newest check variants of ABAP Test Cockpit and check your older code using these newest checks. We support the most of custom code, including modification, enhancements, Adobe Forms, Smart Forms, SAP queries, and so on. And this infrastructure is our central infrastructure for all kinds of custom code migration activities, be it custom code migration to SAP S/4HANA on-premise or to the cloud. ABAP Test Cockpit is also tightly integrated into development environment, to ABAP development tools in Eclipse. So you can just run ATC checks over your custom code as a developer using the context menu, run as ABAP Test Cockpit with. And all the custom code migration activities are also supported, so you can do the custom code analysis for SAP S/4HANA, and you will get the detailed information about all the S/4HANA related findings also in the ABAP Test Cockpit problems queue. We also offer the automatic code adaptations via the quick fixes technology of Eclipse, which allow you to minimize the adaptation efforts. Custom code migration to SAP S/4HANA and cloud. Let's start with the custom code migration to SAP S/4HANA. What you see on this slide is the traditional SAP S/4HANA system conversion process. And during conversion of your ERP system to the new S/4HANA world, you can also take over your custom code, which you have developed in the on-premise world of ERP to the new on-premise world of SAP S/4HANA Digital Core. And custom code dedicated process consists of different steps. It begins with so-called custom code scoping. First, you must decide which custom code will go to SAP S/4HANA. Please consider, since not all the custom code is used in production, you must meet this decision in order not to just lift and shift all the custom code to SAP S/4HANA, and then you will get the most effort of adaptation. You must consider this fact and just select the custom code which is really needed in the new S/4HANA world. So this is custom code scoping. And such tools play here a role like usage tracking of custom code, which help you to find out which custom code objects are indeed used in production and which custom code objects you can take over to the new S/4HANA world. Also, after you have finished the scoping, the custom code analysis will begin. You need to test this custom code which you have selected for the SAP S/4HANA for S/4HANA readiness in order to find out which problems are there, which are related to the S/4HANA simplifications, and in order to understand which custom code objects need to be really adapted for SAP S/4HANA. And the tool of choice is also ABAP Test Cockpit, which is our infrastructure also for custom code readiness checks for SAP S/4HANA. And what you see here under these bubbles, custom code scoping and custom code analysis, you see here on the slide, custom code migration app. This custom code migration app will help you to do the scoping, and it will help you also to do the analysis. This is our central app, which is fully based on the remote ABAP Test Cockpit infrastructure. And this app should be used for the custom code scoping and analysis for SAP S/4HANA. And after the software update manager installs the new software, it's time to do the functional adaptation of your custom code. And there, your assistant will be the ABAP development tools in Eclipse and the quick fixes, which I mentioned, which will help you to adapt your custom code in automated way. And in the end, after you are ready with the functional adaptation, you can think about the custom code optimization activities like doing the performance tuning, since you are now with SAP S/4HANA on the HANA database, or using code pushdown techniques, or simplify your custom code, and so on. So as I've mentioned, it begins with so-called custom code scoping. And our statistics from the past 15 years show that actually 30 to 60% of the custom code in a traditional SAP ERP system is not executed. Another significant part of the custom code can be replaced with the SAP standard code upon the system conversion. And therefore, eliminating such code from your system before converting it to SAP S/4HANA will significantly improve your experience and will significantly reduce your custom code adaptation effort. And therefore, prior to the custom code to the S/4HANA conversion project, we recommend to turn on the usage analysis of your custom code, and at least 1 year before your S/4HANA conversion project, and collect the usage statistics of the execution of your custom code objects. And the tool of choice is the ABAP Call Monitor. As Simon, ABAP Call Monitor is the successor of the UPL. Maybe you know UPL of Solution Manager, Usage Procedure Login. And ABAP Call Monitor doesn't only deliver the statistics on code execution, but also delivers this information with the calling business processes, which business processes actually initiated the custom code execution on productive system. The advantages also, you can turn on a Simon directly in your productive system, and you don't need the solution manager for that. And the performance overhead is really low. It's under 3%. You turn on the SCMON along with SUCG transaction, since SCMON stores the usage data only for a certain period of time in order not to overload the database of the system. And afterwards, the collected usage records will be deleted and new usage records will be added. And so in order to collect the whole usage data, you need to aggregate the collected data by and by. And this is actually the purpose of this SUCG transaction. You turn it on directly alone with SCMON together, and it will collect, and SCMON will collect the usage data, and SUCG transaction will aggregate it. And after you have collected the usage data, you can use the custom code migration app, upload the collected and aggregated usage data there, and the initial scoping of your custom code for the SAP S/4HANA starts. And after the scoping is finished, you can also anytime adjust your scope manually. You can add the development objects, and you can remove them from the scope as you wish. For example, if you have new developments for which usage data don't exist, then you can add them manually. And after you have finished the scoping, we propose to remove unused code from the system. For this purpose, you can create deletion transport request And during system conversion, if Software Update Manager will install the new software, you can just upload this deletion transport request as a customer transport, and the Software Update Manager will delete it from the system. If you are afraid to remove this unused code from the system because maybe you will need it in the future point of time, we recommend to have a backup for it, and we recommend to take either downsized productive ERP system or downsized development system in order to keep this unused code there. So after you have done the scoping, the analysis about the cockpit checks for S/4HANA readiness will be executed in the custom code migration app, and there you have, as you can see on this slide, the detailed representation of all analysis results. You have here different filters. You can filter the results by scope or filter by quick fix availability to find out which of the ATC findings can be fixed automatically later on in ABAP development tools in Eclipse, and for which findings you need to, fix manually. You can navigate directly to the source code of the finding. You can drill down to the ATC results, and you can see different analytical and graphical views. You have different analytical and graphical views on your results. And after you install the new S/4HANA software and you need to fix your custom code, the tool of choice is ABAP development tools in Eclipse, as I've said, and we offer the quick fixes for automated code adaptation. You can apply them either directly after ATC run in ABAP development tools in Eclipse in the source code editor. They are accessible via Ctrl+1 shortcut, or we offer also mass-enabled quick fixes in the ATC problems where you can select the whole ATC result list there and use the recommended quick fixes wizard in order to fix the whole findings at once. We offer quick fixes for the most prominent simplification use cases, such like, for example, missing order by and selects, or material number and amount field length extensions, or for different data model changes in SAP S/4HANA. And we cover approximately currently about 60% of all the ATC findings with the quick fixes. Okay, and if you intend to transform your custom code from your on-premise world to the SAP BTP ABAP environment, then you can use the same custom code migration app to analyze your custom code also for the cloud readiness. For this purpose, you just create the cloud relevant project and connect the app to a system, and then you can check it for the cloud readiness. And such things in your custom code will be detected, like, for example, not supported technologies, like, for example, Juniper is not supported in the cloud, or not released SAP standard objects for the cloud usage, and incompatibilities with ABAP language version cloud. Since in the cloud, in SAP BTP ABAP environment, we eliminated some statements from the ABAP language, we deleted all the obsolete statements, and we also don't support the statements which could harm the cloud operations. And of course, the quick fixes are also offered here. You can use the filters and find out which of the cloud-related findings you can also fix with the quick fixes. So this is how the custom code transformation for SAP BTP ABAP environment looks like. You have here your backend system with the custom code, and you have here SAP BTP ABAP environment in the cloud. And the purpose is to bring the custom code to the cloud. And you start the analysis with the custom code migration app, which can run in the cloud via cloud connector and using RFC for a custom code. And after you have decided which custom code will go to the cloud, you just can use ABAP Git on-premise to push your custom code to the Git repository and then you can just use the ABAP Git plugin and ABAP development tools in Eclipse in the cloud and pull your ABAP code from the Git repository into SAP BTP ABAP environment. And then you can adapt your custom code, which must run in the cloud. So this is how do you transform your custom code to the SAP BTP ABAP environment. And there is also detailed information about it in the SAP community in the related blog. And as you probably can guess, in the cloud, you can again run ABAP Test Cockpit using the dedicated cloud readiness check variant in ABAP development tools in Eclipse, and find out which findings you can fix using the automated quick fixes. And we offer some quick fixes also for the cloud-related findings in ADT in Eclipse. Like, for example, you can adapt to the ABAP language version cloud or to usage of released objects for the cloud and so on. There are not so many quick fixes currently for the cloud findings, but still you can apply them for your custom code objects. So this is the overview of the custom code analysis options. You can analyze your custom code for cloud readiness. You can analyze it for SAP S/4HANA readiness. And of course, you can still use the traditional ATC transaction in the SAP GUI. And there you need to establish the remote ABAP Test Cockpit and install the central ATC check system based on at least SAP Basis 752. And the disadvantage is you don't get the simplification information of the SAP S/4HANA in ATC results, and you don't have the filters, you don't have the graphical capabilities, you're not able to upload the usage data and define the scope based on that. And so we recommend to use the custom code migration app. And the custom code migration app is available either in SAP S/4HANA on-premise, starting with 1809 release, or you can use it also in SAP Business Technology Platform in ABAP environment. Okay, what's new in ABAP Platform 2020 regarding the custom code analysis tools? Let's take a look in detail. The custom code migration app now supports also S/4HANA Greenfield projects. Earlier, it supported only Brownfield approach, and now you can also do the custom code analysis for the Greenfield projects. Additionally, you can also turn on the commands for the quick fixes to see what the quick fixes has done on your custom code and how your custom code originally looked like before applying the quick fixes. Before applying the quick fixes. And you can also download ATC check results for upload into SAP Readiness Check. Beyond that, we offer also complexity analysis in the custom code migration app. It summarizes the number of relevant changes in accordance with the complexity of the custom code. Complexity means how difficult is the code to understand and to change. And this graphic helps you to analyze the effort of your custom code migration activities in advance. Because the most complex packages in the reality very often also experience the most frequent changes. And in this way, it increases your maintenance costs for your custom code. And therefore, you can use this code complexity diagram as a technical matrix to prioritize which of your custom developments really need a redesign. Okay, we have finished now the custom code analysis tools, and now we'll go over to the ABAP connectivity news. This is what happened before the ABAP platform 2020. What do we have as connectivity options in ABAP stack? We have ABAP channels, ABAP daemons, MQTT support, web socket RFC. With ABAP channels, we established web socket in ABAP stack, which allows you to have always up-to-date data on the UI. The UI will automatically update through the WebSocket as soon as the data changes in the backend. And we also established the ABAP messaging channel, which allows you to do the collaboration. This is so-called publish-subscribe infrastructure to exchange messages between ABAP sessions, and you can connect this infrastructure to the ABAP push channels and also to push the data directly to the UI. This infrastructure also supports the so-called industrial IoT scenarios. For example, if the customer has the shop floor devices directly in his intranet, then you can directly connect ABAP server in these shop floor devices, and therefore using TCP IP connectivity, and therefore eliminate expensive middleware there, like PLC devices and so on. In this communication, ABAP push channel is used, and it acts as a TCP socket. We have also ABAP daemons. The main use case of ABAP daemons is handling events. And you can think about ABAP daemons like Linux cron jobs or like Windows services. This is the ABAP session, which is always running in the background. This is a long living ABAP session without limit of a life. And you can use, for example, ABAP daemon as an event scheduler in industrial IoT scenarios, or you can use also ABAP daemons for lightweight background activities like tracing, logging, cleanup of resources, synchronization of caches, and so on. We also established the MQTT support. MQTT is message queue and telemetry transport protocol. It was designed for machine-to-machine communication, and recently gained its popularity also within the Internet of Things scenarios. And support of MQTT is also offered by SAP Business Technology Platform. And in ABAP stack, we offer MQTT client, which allows you to, which offers the event-driven API. And you can publish events to the MQTT broker in the internet, or subscribe to messages to receive the subscribe to messages to receive the messages from the broker. And you can use MQTT client, for example, to develop event-driven extensions for SAP S/4HANA on SAP Business Technology Platform. We also made the RFC is ready for internet use using so-called WebSocket RFC. WebSocket RFC uses standard HTTP infrastructure, and now you don't need to do the VPN tunneling for RFC across the business networks anymore. This is the same call function statement, but you have the new destination type for WebSocket RFC. This is the WB. What's new in ABAP connectivity area in ABAP Platform 2020? We offer the AMQP support in ABAP. AMQP is Advanced Message Queuing Protocol. This is the open standard application layer protocol for message-oriented middleware. And the defining features of MQTT are message orientation, queuing, routing, including point-to-point, publish and subscribe, and so on. And we offer the API in ABAP stack to implement MQP clients. And you can establish different communication scenarios like point-to-point, publish and subscribe, ABAP to ABAP, ABAP to non-ABAP, and it's fully based on ABAP push channel technologies, offering WebSocket and TCP socket. And also the the programming model is like the programming model of ABAP channels. We also offer here the small feature. You can now create the RFC function module in the system, which can be used only internally in this particular system. In the S/4HANA extensibility area, we support so-called in-app extensibility and side-by-side extensibility. Side-by-side extensibility, you can develop side-by-side extensions using the SAP BTP ABAP environment in the cloud. And for in-app extensibility, you can create as a key user, you can change the application and you create some small parts of the custom logic using so-called custom business objects, custom fields, and directly in your business applications and so on. And for this particular in app extensibility, we offer some improvements in ABAP Platform 2020, like you can use the XCO library. This is extension components library. This is our general purpose development library. And it provides highly efficient ABAP development experience. And also the Cloud Platform edition of the XCO library is designed to support ABAP development scenarios in the new SAP BTP ABAP environment. And there are some improvements to the custom business objects where you can restrict the access to the business objects via UI or service. And there are also some small improvements in the area of custom field and logic. So we also enhanced the in-app extensibility in ABAP Platform 2020. Okay, let's summarize the presentation. The key takeaways for you, what's new in ABAP Platform 2020. It's still ABAP development tools in Eclipse, which you should use for all related ABAP development tasks. And we enhance it continuously, and we enhanced our tools in Eclipse. And we enhanced also the ABAP CDS, ABAP SQL, and we have done various SAP HANA related optimizations to enable you to do advanced data modeling. And we enhanced the feature scope of the ABAP RESTful application programming model, and now support the managed scenarios, and now support also the draft handling. The code analysis tools are also continuously improved, and we offer the efficient custom code adaptation for SAP S/4HANA and for cloud. And also in the connectivity area, you have real-time events with ABAP channels, ABAP daemons. We support industrial IT scenarios, machine-to-machine communication, WebSocket RFC is there, MQTT support is there, and we also offer in ABAP Platform 2020 AMQP support. And we have offered also some improvements in the area of in-app extensibility. Further information you can find in our ABAP related communities. We have a lot of them. We have 5. And we are also eager to provide always the blogs related to different topics and features. And if you take a look at this picture on the right-hand side, you see the style of our platform for SAP S/4HANA. There we have a dedicated blog which provides the overview about all the features delivered with ABAP Platform 2020, and also the link to this presentation. So you can download the presentation directly from the SAP community. And in each and every community, you will find the dedicated blogs about, for example, different connectivity topics like ABAP channels, ABAP daemons, and so on, extensibility topics, ABAP code analysis tools for SAP S/4HANA and for cloud, and of course the news regarding the SAP BTP ABAP environment. You can also visit us on developers on SAP.com. There you will find, if you just select the filter regarding ABAP platform, you will find a lot of tutorials to different topics like RESTful ABAP application programming model, like ABAP channels, and so on and so forth. So you can just search for ABAP in the tutorials, and you can then execute them. Okay. Now I have finished the presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And let's see if you have any questions there.
I would like, first of all, on behalf of everyone, to thank Carine and Olga for this marvelous presentation. Personally, I think we received so much information that I will need to see the recordings and just try to digest so many things happening. I have just one question. I asked it in the chat. with regard to the code inspector, which was integrated with the solution manager before. And I missed the name of the new tool that you mentioned that will be used instead of code inspector. Will it be still integrated with the solution manager, specifically in the charm when we release transports? The code inspector has been invoked and checked the transport before it could be released for some of the syntaxes and other things. How this will be integrated with the new tool?
ABAP Test Cockpit is actually not new. It was first delivered with SAP NetWeaver 7.02 release, so it's pretty old. And it is tightly integrated into Charm. It is tightly integrated in Solution Manager and also used there. Also, this new remote ATC setup, which I have talked about, this is also integrated. So if you, for example, have the remote ATC central check system, you can connect it to Solution Manager and it collects the data from this ATC hub. So you can use ATC as you have used Code Inspector before. The integration support is there.
Thank you.
Welcome.
There is another question from Paul. Would you like to ask a question or would you like me to read it?
I can talk. The good old AMQP, I know what it stands for now, the Advanced Message Queuing Protocol. It's based on push channels, but is it a different framework, a different set of classes or something?
This is different set of classes, but this is actually the same principle as the push channels.
So if you're connecting to something slightly different, you use just a different class. That makes sense.
You just use the different classes, but the principle is the same. So if you can program based on ABAP channels, you can program based on MQP.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Will it be okay, Olga, if some of our participants will be able to ask a question offline?
Yes, I always encourage people to just drop me an email if you have any further questions, or you just find out that you want to ask something later on. It's not a problem. I'm very happy to receive questions. So just ping me.
Thank you.
So I'm also happy to centralize. If you could send a number of the questions, I will send centrally one email to Olga, if it's okay as well. But you're always welcome to send any emails directly, of course. I think you could also ask question in the SAP new community question and answers website. Expose your question to other participants of the community, and we pretty fast receive some of the answers as well. Molly, would you like to provide some update from your side? I run 3 events, and I'm taking probably some break for some time. Just overloaded with some enormous pressure at work. So,
yeah, thank you very much for organizing this, Adi. I think good to have Olga and Carine also present on ABAP. It was really lots of updates that have come since the last time we had someone present this in our community. I think it'll be good to get them come back again later on when we have further updates and keep us all up to date. We really appreciate all the time that you guys put today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the feedback.
Yes, I appreciate the feedback, and I just see one question in the chat. Maybe I can answer it. Which ATC checks are actually showstoppers, as just priority does not help to understand if it's showstopper or not. That means code will work on S4 or not. If you check your custom code for S4HANA readiness using the dedicated S4HANA readiness check variant of the code inspector, you will get the list of the findings, and these are exactly the showstoppers which show you that these pieces of code will not work for S4. So you need to fix all of them. I hope I answered the question.
Kamala just said yes and thanks. I would like to add just an idea that sometimes even the code inspector, code checks work even on the greenfield implementations when some of the developers still develop their code using the old ABAP techniques in development environment, even before go live in the greenfield. I think still it's interesting to see if this will work on S4HANA, which we haven't yet seen. Is presented in your presentation was like new and brown field approach. But even during the greenfield implementation, it's probably interesting to see how it works to filter the old style developers developing their applications using old techniques outdated.
It is really so. We also actually recommend to connect ERP landscapes to ATC. And even if you take just ATC transaction and you just set up remote ATC central check system, we recommend to test the on regular basis the new developments or traditional ERP landscapes for S4HANA readiness, really on regular basis, in order to avoid in the future conversion of to SAP S4HANA, in order to avoid the surprises that you will get a lot of issues. Because to understand if you develop currently S4HANA ready, this is actually the point which we also advise for the customers. For example, if you're already on SAP HANA database with your ERP system, you can just fix all the SAP HANA related findings in your custom code, or you can see in which, as you said, which SAP standard objects do you use, will they be available in SAP S4HANA or not?
That's absolutely correct, because even in S4HANA, between releases, we have changes between the objects. So SAP totally evolving. Even if we are upgrading from 1809 to 2020, we've seen some of the objects changed.
And therefore, we also recommend to execute custom code analysis also between upgrades of SAP S4HANA from 1909 to 2020 and so on.
Yeah, so yeah, very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
On this note, if we don't have any more questions, I would like really to thank everyone, to all our presenters and participants. I will share recordings of this presentation with everyone. Thank you very much, and see you in our next event, which Amoli will probably plan with other community members.
All right, thank you all.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
have a great rest of the evening and the day in Europe.
Yes, it's 10:30 almost. Bye.
So we will be more than happy to have one of the events with you here in person.
Okay.
Not still planned for the exact date, but bear in mind, our community will be more than happy to see you in person as well one day.
Well, great.
Thank you very much.
Let's just
Great,
have
we
the
will
hope.
be also happy.
Great.
to be
Let's see
with
what
you.
the future brings with. Thank you. Bye-bye, Eddie.
Thank you. And
Thank
let
you.
me please close this call. Thank you very much, and see you our next event. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Oh.